Theater presents the Screen Guild Players. The Screen Guild play tonight, Bachelor Mother. The starring players...
This is Ann Southern.
This is Fred McMurray.
And Charles Coburn. Lady Esther welcomes you to as pleasant an evening as you've ever spent with the Screen Guild Players. For tonight's play is RKO's delightful farce, Bachelor Mother. And it stars Fred McMurray as David Merlin, Ann Southern as Polly Parrish, and Charles Coburn as J.B. Merlin. Our story begins on the day before Christmas, the day Polly Parrish lost her job in the department store owned by J.B. Merlin and his son David. Naturally, Polly went job hunting during her lunch hour. But she didn't find a job. She found a baby. The baby was wrapped in a blanket and lying in front of an orphanage door when Polly walked past. Well, almost walked past. She ran up to the step, picked up the baby, and rang the orphanage doorbell. She was standing there holding the baby when a matron opened the door.
Hello, I want to give you this baby. I found it out.
Your name, please.
Polly Parrish. I was just passing by.
Are you employed anywhere?
I'm at Merlin's department store. Say, what are the questions?
We must know these things before we'll take your baby.
My baby? Oh, you don't understand. I was just walking along the street and saw it lying in the cold.
We're only here to help you, my dear.
Well, you're certainly being a great help. I get fired from my job, and now you want me to...
My dear, many mothers say babies are not their own.
Now, look here. This is ridiculous. This is not my baby. I tell you, I was just walking past the place, and I saw the baby, and then I picked him up and...
Happy day before Christmas. Fired and an unexpected mother. And that was just the beginning. Before Polly Parrish could break away from the orphanage matron, who insisted that Polly was the mother of the baby, Polly's lunch hour was over, and she hurried back to finish her last day at J.B. Merlin & Sons department store. Soon after, a store messenger came to Polly and led her to the office of David Merlin, the son in J.B. Merlin & Son. The matron from the orphanage was with him.
Come right in, Mrs.
Miss Parrish.
Miss Parrish?
Oh. I am David Merlin, Miss Parrish. After talking to this lady from the orphanage, I'm convinced your discharge was a great mistake.
Tragedy is more the word, Mr. Merlin.
So the job is yours for as long as you care to have it.
Thank you.
And you're being raised $5 a week. We want you to realize, Miss Parrish, that Merlin's department store is the store with a heart.
Miss Parrish, is that the way to express your gratitude to Mr. Merlin?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I owe you both an apology.
That's quite all right, Miss Parrish. I want to wish you and yours a very, very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. And the same to you. Goodbye, Mr. Merlin.
Goodbye. She's a very nice-looking girl.
Yes, poor thing.
You know, I can just see the ecstasy there'll be on her face tonight when she receives her real Christmas present from J.B. Merlin and Son.
You heard what I said.
What?
You heard what I said you heard what I said. You take that baby out of my apartment this minute.
I beg your pardon, miss. You don't seem to realize that this child was sent special rush by J.B. Merlin and Son. Merry Christmas. Good night.
Come back here and get this baby. Oh. Listen, kid, this is nothing personal. I'd love to have you around, but I really couldn't do right by you. Here, take your thumb out of your mouth and give your teeth a chance. All right, ruin your face. Who is it?
Fred, you all ready to go stepping, baby?
You said it, kid. Come on in, Fred.
Well, you all ready to... is that yours?
No, it isn't mine.
Well, where did it come from?
I got it for Christmas.
Huh? You don't mean that Santa Claus.
I don't know what you're thinking, Fred, but you're all wrong.
Sure, of course.
Just as soon as I get my hat and coat, we'll go.
Well, now, look.
Now, don't worry about a thing, Fred. All right, let's go, baby.
Hey, you mean we're taking the kid, too?
Certainly. Why wait till the after-Christmas rush to exchange a present you can't use? I'm going to play Santa Claus, too, at the residence of J.B. Merlin and Son, the son of a gun.
Yes, miss?
Is this the home of Mr. David Merlin?
Yes, miss.
Well, I must see him. It's a personal matter. He'll know what it's about when he sees me.
Well, couldn't you write him a letter?
Do you think this came as a postcard?
I really couldn't say this. However, I may say that it will be impossible for you to see Mr. David Merlin.
All right, then you take the baby. That's the way I got it.
Oh, but here, mister, you can't do this to me.
And tell Mr. David Merlin that Miss Parrish left it here. And he'll have to use his influence to get it back into that orphanage. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Rock-a-bye, baby, Mr. Merlin. On the treetop, Mr. David. When the wind blows, oh,
How's about letting a fellow in for a smoke, Polly?
Oh, it's 2 a.m., Fred. I have to get up early.
Oh, come on. Let me in for just a minute.
I said no. Go home, Fred.
Oh, don't be like that, Polly. You said no once. Now let me in.
Perhaps you didn't understand the young lady.
Huh? Mr. Merlin. I was just... That is... Well, Polly... good night, Mr. Merlin. Good night.
Well, how did you get in here, Mr. Merlin?
The landlady let us in.
Us.
Your baby and me. Miss Parrish, I've seen some low things in my time, but a mother who would abandon her child just to go on a date.
Would it interest you to know that I'm not the mother of that child?
All right, so you're not the mother. You're not employed either.
You're firing me?
I have fired you. And as you go from place to place hunting a job, you'll find that no store in the Merchants of America Association, of which I am junior chairman, will hire you. I'll see to that.
Well, that's prosecution.
And that'll be just the beginning, Miss Parrish. Believe me. Now, you want to keep your baby and get your job back, or do you want to be jailed for child abandonment?
Well, you don't leave me much choice. I'd like to have my job back.
Well, that's better. Much better. As the years go by, Miss Parrish, and you and your manly little son stroll into life sunset together, you'll thank me for saving you from this terrible temptation.
Well, I'm really not as bad as you think.
Then why did you do it?
Well, there was no one I could turn to.
Well, what about your husband? I mean, the baby's father.
Huh? Oh. Well, you see, we were never formally introduced.
Oh. You poor child. Well, I'll be going. Now, don't worry about a thing.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Merlin.
That's all right, Miss Parrish. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Merlin. Oh, just a second, kid. What am I going to do with you? Have you got any ideas? All right, but don't blame me if you get stuck with a safety pin. And I'm just an amateur at folding, too. Who is it?
The landlady, Mrs. White. Oh, could I maybe come in a minute? What are you trying to do, hide the baby? I know about it. Just like you it looks.
Huh? Are you kidding?
Certainly not. I know from babies. And for you, this baby I'm taking care of personally while you're working. Listen to him talking.
Talking? What's he saying?
Who knows with that dialect?
Good morning, Polly.
Oh, don't talk too loud, Fred. You'll wake me up.
I get it. Walking the floor with the baby, huh? Speaking of the baby, Polly, how's about you getting me a little better job in this joint?
What are you driving at?
Of course, I suppose I could pass my information along to David's old man, J.B., and do myself some good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The baby. David's baby.
David Merlin's baby? I didn't know he was married.
Well, if you don't, nobody does. But regardless of that, don't forget to tell him I want a better job.
Mama. Look at Mama. Make funny faces. Well, you certainly go in for sophisticated entertainment. Come in.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Mr. Merlin.
Miss Parrish, you realize this is New Year's Eve?
I'll take your word for it. The way I feel, it could be New Year's morning.
Well, it suddenly occurred to me that you must be having a pretty bad evening. I'm going to a New Year's party, and I thought perhaps you'd like to go along.
Oh, well, I'd like to go, but I can't leave the baby.
Oh, well, I've already spoken to your landlady. She'll be glad to watch it.
Oh, well, there's something else.
What?
Well, look, me with a sweater and skirt, we'd make only half a lovely couple.
Oh, don't you worry about that. I'll take care of the clothes. We'll go down to the store and take a complete outfit from stock.
Gosh, an evening gown, and silver slippers, and flowers in my hair.
And a mink coat. What do you say?
Oh, David, if you wake me up from this beautiful dream, I'll never forgive you.
And, Miss Parrish, if you promise not to tell a soul, I think I can get you a pair of nylons.
Oh, David, you've been drinking. Miss Parrish. Miss Parrish. Oh, come in, Mrs. White.
Hurry and get your coat on.
Yeah, it won't take a second. Oh, are you sure you don't mind staying with the baby, Mrs. White?
Certainly not. Enjoy yourself. You're only young and pretty once. Some of us not even that.
Excuse me. Hello?
This is Fred, Polly.
Yes?
I thought I told you to have your sweetie get me a better job in the store.
What are you talking about?
David Merlin. I know he's there now. I saw him go in. You tell him to give me a decent job tomorrow, or I'll see to it.
You what?
I'll tell his old man who the father of that baby is.
Go right ahead. And Freddie,
Yeah?
if you find out who the mother is, let me know.
And the curtain falls on Act One of Bachelor Mother, starring Fred McMurray, Ann Sothern, and Charles Coburn. Act Two will follow immediately. But first, I'd like you to hear an important word from Lady Esther.
One of the greatest dancers this world has ever seen was Anna Pavlova. But at one time, a tragic experience almost ruined her career. She was giving 2 concerts in a faraway city. The first night, she looked gloriously young and vibrant. But the next night, she seemed old and haggard. Here's what happened. By mistake, the wrong-colored spotlight was thrown on her. Instantly, she looked 20 years older. The audience whispered, "My, how old Pavlova looks." The right light was immediately switched on, but the damage was done. Everyone in that audience believed Pavlova had grown old. You know, certain shades of face powder, like certain colored spotlights, can make any woman look older. I just hope that you aren't the innocent victim of an unflattering shade of powder. Color specialists say that the wrong shade of powder can put years on your face, and the right shade can make you look years younger. Now, I'd like to tell you, if I could, which is the right shade for you. But I can't. Nobody can do that. There's only one way to find out. You must try the 9 basic shades of face powder right on your own skin. You must look in your mirror and let your own eyes decide which shade is most flattering to you. Of course, it would be very costly for you to buy 9 different boxes of face powder. But you really don't have to. Just send me your name and address on the back of a penny postcard, and by return mail you will receive free 9 different shades of my face powder and a tube of Lady Esther 4-purpose face cream. All the address you need is Lady Esther, Chicago.
And now the curtain is ready to rise on the second act of Bachelor Mother, starring Ann Sothern as Polly Parrish, Fred McMurray as David Merlin, and Charles Coburn as David's father, J.B. Merlin. Well, several hours have passed. last, and it's very early in the morning of New Year's Day. Polly and David are just returning to Polly's apartment from their New Year's Eve party.
Won't you come in, David?
Yes, thanks. I was afraid you wouldn't ask me.
Why?
Well, after the way you brushed that Fred fellow aside the other night.
Oh. Well, he hadn't kissed me.
Oh, he hadn't? Well, I suppose I shouldn't have, but, well, it was the stroke of midnight New Year's Eve, and...
And?
It's just midnight New Year's Eve again.
It is?
Yes, that is in Chicago. Happy New Year in Chicago.
The same to you.
I think I will come in.
Good.
We'll stay up and welcome in New Year and the New Year in Denver, Los Angeles, Honolulu, and I can think of a million other places.
Well, let's get in and shut the door. Miss Parrish? Yes, Mrs. White?
The baby's asleep. Was asleep.
I'll put him back to sleep.
Then I go now. Soon my boy Jerome is coming home from playing the picolettes all night. Jerome, he plays in a swinging band. What a dizzy way to make a living in a hammock.
I don't know how I can thank you, Mrs. White.
Those stars in your eyes is thanks enough for me. Only one thing. Promise in the morning to tell me all about the evening.
I will, Mrs. White. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Miss Weiss.
I guess he decided to wait up and see his Uncle David.
Polly, you've come a long way from the girl who wouldn't even admit this was your child.
Well, this is a very unusual baby.
I don't know why it should be.
Oh, I guess it's heredity.
Oh, sure.
Why, what's the matter with me?
Well, what about the other 50%? You said yourself that you didn't know even who he was.
Well, I don't.
You see?
But I know someone who does. You know him, too.
Who is it?
Fred.
What does he know about it?
He won't tell me. But he's going to tell your father the name of the baby's father. Come in.
Is my son here?
Dad, what are you doing here?
Well, I was just driving around, and I happened to see your car parked outside. So I thought I'd stop in.
Oh, well, Polly, this is my father. Dad, Miss Parrish.
How do you do?
How do you do? And who's this?
Well, this is Miss Parrish's little boy.
A boy? Would you mind if I'm very, very careful? Would you let me hold him just a minute?
Of course. Here, take him.
Thank you, my dear. See, he knows me. Yes, and I'd know that chin anywhere. What's his name?
John.
John? John what?
John B.
Well, thanks for that anyway.
You ought to know. He's your father.
What'd you say?
Nothing. Mr. Merlin, is there anything I can do?
You've already done it, my dear. But perhaps you'd better hold little John B. He doesn't seem to recognize me yet.
Well, of course, this is the first time he's seen you.
Well, that's very true. But after all, blood is thicker than water, you know.
Hey, what is this? What do you mean blood is thick? Hey, what's the matter with you, Dad?
Well, I'll discuss this with you at home. Goodbye, Miss...
Goodbye.
Goodbye, John B.
Well, David, he knows if you don't.
Knows what?
Well, I think Freddie told him all right.
Told him? Told him what?
That this baby is your father's grandson.
Oh, well, that's very obvious. Anybody that... What?
And he certainly sounded as though he believed it.
Holy mackerel, I can't...
Sit down, David, and take it easy. I know just how you feel.
Is Dad up yet, Phillips?
He's in the dining room, sir.
What's his move?
Does that answer your question, sir?
Well, here goes nothing. Dad, I have to talk to you.
I do the talking. Young man, marriage was good enough for your father and mother, and it's good enough for you. You're going to marry that girl. You're going to bring my grandson into this house.
Now, just a second, Dad. I've got something to tell you.
Don't start that with me. You know my temper.
I don't care about your temper. You haven't any grandson.
How can you deny it? I've received information. I saw you with the girl. I saw the baby.
That's not my baby.
Don't lie to me. I got information in a letter. And even if I didn't have it, if I saw that baby on a desert island by himself, I'd know it was my grandson. He looks exactly like me.
Dad, will you let me tell you something? Will you
No.
let me say something?
My mind's made up. Nobody's going to fool around with my grandson. I'm going to take him away from you. You aren't fit to be his father.
I'm not his father.
You're crazy. That's what you are. That's what's the matter with you. You're unbalanced. Here, where are you going?
To see your grandson.
What about?
Find out who his father is.
Phillips! Bring me some more dishes.
Polly, this is terrible.
Terrible, what?
J.B., Dad thinks that...
Oh, yes, I know. He thought Johnny was yours.
No, Polly, this is no laughing matter. He's going to take the baby away.
I'd like to see him.
Well, that's because you don't know him. He'll get lawyers and investigators. He'll use his influence. He'll get the baby away from
Well,
you.
he can't do that. It belongs to me. We've got to stop him.
Yeah, well, what can we do?
Take me to your father and let me talk to him. I'll convince
He
him.
won't believe you either. He's gone off his head. He even wanted me to marry you.
Oh.
Yeah, he wants me to set up with a ready-made family so he'd have a grandson. I tell you, it's serious.
Yes. It would be serious, marrying me.
Oh, no, I didn't realize how that sounded, Polly.
Will you please go?
I didn't mean that, Polly. I'm sorry. Now, don't you worry. I'll think of something to get you out of this spot you're in.
Oh, you will? Well, that's very kind of you, Mr. Merlin. But I wouldn't dream of putting you to so much trouble. I'm perfectly capable of handling this myself. And I promise you, by this time tomorrow, your poor innocent child will have a new father.
Mr. J.B. Merlin will see you now. This way, please.
Thank you. Now, be careful, Jerome. Don't forget what I told you to say.
Oh, not a chance. I got it all wrote out here on my shirt cuff.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Jerome Weiss.
Mr. and Mrs. Weiss? I thought my son introduced you as Miss Parrish.
Oh, that's the name I use in the store. We've been married 2 years.
That's right, 2 years.
Your son David just called, and there seemed to be a misunderstanding about our baby.
Ain't that a laugh? When my wife Polly here was first telling me, I couldn't believe she meant my baby.
Your baby?
Sure. Ain't he the image of his papa? The faraway look in his eyes?
Yeah, and they're both bald-headed. So you see, Mr. Merlin, there's no need sending anyone to investigate the baby. It's a waste of time.
I can't believe it. It's as though there'd been a death in the family.
Dad. Oh, Dad.
That sounds like my son.
Dad, I've got great news for you.
You have, David?
Yes, you see this fellow here? He's the father of Miss Parrish's baby.
What's that you said, David?
Go ahead, Fred. Tell him.
Mr. Merlin, my wife's a very nervous woman. My son is my son, and I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't send any investigators around to make any trouble for us.
That's very interesting. David, do you know who this is?
Who? Where?
Sitting over there in the corner.
Oh, Polly, but who's the man?
That's the father she brought. You two seem to have slipped up someplace. You've got one too many fathers. And I'm going to prosecute both these men.
Mr. Merlin, your son made me do this. I'll tell you the truth, and I know what I'm talking about. Your son is the father of that baby.
He's lying, Dad. That worm with Miss Parrish must be the father.
Hey, don't you believe it? I'm only the landlady's son. I'm not the father.
I don't care who the father is. I'm the grandfather.
Polly. Where is she?
She's gone.
Gone? She'll take my baby. Catch her. I want my grandson.
Polly, let me in, quick.
Get away from there.
Open this door. Now, let me in before Father gets here. I have to tell you something.
I don't care. I'll never open it. Get away. You get out of here. You're not going to get this baby.
I'm not trying to take your baby away from you,
Then
Polly.
leave me alone. You've caused me nothing but trouble ever since the first time I saw you. You know so darn much.
Polly, listen, please.
I won't.
Well, you must. You don't know what I've been going through here since you threw me out of here this afternoon. I thought I was doing all this because I wanted to help you, and now I know better.
So do I. You're just a busybody.
Well, maybe, but I'm also in love, Polly. With you.
Huh?
It's the truth. You've got to believe me.
Oh, David. Do you mean it?
I can prove it. Must be still New Year's Eve somewhere.
Oh, David.
Oh, darling.
Well, so I found you. I knew it. I knew it all the time. Well, David, what do you say now?
Dad, I confess. I am the father of that child.
David!
Well, those are the first true words that have passed your lips in 48 hours. Come on, Johnny. Your parents are all tangled up. Let them straighten it out. You are going with your grandfather. And when you two can come to me as an honest married couple, you'll be very welcome. Until then, good day. Come on, John B., the second.
Well,
You heard what Grandpa said. Let's go.
do you mean that?
Sure, I got the license on the way down.
And you're willing to spend your life with a ready-made family?
The family is you and Johnny.
You know something, David?
What, darling?
I'll bet this is the first time in history that a baby ever gave birth to a mother and father.
Thank you, Fred McMurray, Ann Southern, and Charles Coburn, for your sparkling performances in our version of Bachelor Mother, which was adapted for radio by Bill Hampton. You know, ladies and gentlemen, all of the stars appearing on these broadcasts donate their services for the benefit of the Motion Picture Relief Fund.
It's a pleasure to appear for such a great cause, Mr. Bradley, and the shows are really fun. But now Fred is going to tell everyone about next week's surprise program. But first, here's a word from one of our best-known beauty experts, Lady Esther.
Thank you, Miss Southern. In the early part of this program, I offered to send free to every woman who is listening 9 different shades of Lady Esther face powder and also a tube of Lady Esther four-purpose face cream. Did you ever stop to think that maybe the shade you are now using is not exactly the right shade for you? Well, here's your chance to find once and for all the shade of powder that is most flattering to your skin, the shade that makes you look your youngest and loveliest. When you receive your gift, first, clean your skin thoroughly with Lady Esther face cream, and then try on one of the shades, for example, Rochelle. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, is this the shade for me? Is this my lucky shade? Then remove the Rochelle. Clean your skin again and try on another shade. Try them all, one after another. When you come to the shade that's right for you, you'll know it the instant you put it on your skin. Your own eyes will tell you that at last you've found the shade that makes your skin look fresher and smoother, that makes you look younger. So just send me your name and address on the back of a penny postcard, and you'll receive free by return mail all 9 shades of Lady Esther face powder and a tube of Lady Esther four-purpose face cream. My address is Lady Esther, Chicago.
And now, Fred McMurray.
Before telling you about the surprise Miss Southern mentioned, your Uncle Sam has asked me to tell you about a new career that's open to all women. Many of you will be working in war industries. Some of you will be working on farms. More of you will be in essential civilian jobs, and others will be enlisted in the armed services in the WACs and the waves. But you all must have one career in common, and that career is the regular purchase of government's war bonds and stamps. They tell me that women spend 80% of America's national income, which means that the responsibility for the purchase of these war bonds and stamps is yours. The President has designated this week as Women at War Week. You can take a part in this week and begin a new career by making yourself Uncle Sam's personal representative in your home. Now, about next week's show. Lady Esther will present the Screen Guild Players and Samuel Goldwyn's smash comedy hit, Ball of Fire, starring lovely Paulette Goddard as the Ball of Fire and as the pedantic professor who learned about women from her, that great romantic lover, Kay Kaiser.
Fred McMurray is currently appearing in the Paramount picture The Forest Rangers. Ann Southern will soon be seen in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production Three Hearts for Julia. And Charles Coburn has just completed Merry-Go-Round, the Columbia picture. Next week, then, Ball of Fire with Paulette Goddard, Kay Kaiser, and Richard Haydn. Music on this program was directed by Wilbur Hatch. The Screen Guild Players are presented by Lady Esther. This is Truman Bradley saying thank you and good night. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players. Screen Guild play tonight, Ball of Fire. The starring players.
This is Paulette Goddard.
And this is Kay Kaiser. And this is Richard Haydn.
Tonight, Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild players in one of the most uproarious comedies of this or any other year. Samuel Goldwyn's smash farce, Ball of Fire, starring lovely Paulette Goddard as the Ball of Fire, Richard Haydn as Professor Audley, and as Professor Potts, that great romantic lover, Kay Kaiser. Professor Bertram Potts is only 35 years old, but for the past 9 years he has been living in a dormitory with several dry as dust and gone to seed 60-year-olds, seriously working at compiling an encyclopedia. Their complete isolation has given the group a marvelous opportunity to concentrate and get out of touch with the world, particularly in the case of Professor Potts, whose specialty is English. Potts had just completed his encyclopedia article on slang when he discovered that 23 skidoo was definitely old hat, and the article had to be rewritten. So Potts took his umbrella and rubbers and went out into the big, bad world looking for slanguage. As our play begins, Potts is safely back in the dormitory and telling his cold fuddy-duddies of his experiences while searching for slang.
Why, fellow professors, I just couldn't believe that I was here in the English language. I simply couldn't understand my fellow Americans.
Still, Professor Potts, it must have been fun to get out of the library for a while.
Amusement was not my goal, Professor Audley. It was merely a coincidence that the most likely places for me to overhear living slang was at a nightclub and a baseball game.
Well, who won the ball game, Professor Potts?
Well, I'm sure I don't know, but someone smeared the apple for a 2-ply poke.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's very interesting, very interesting. What does it mean?
Well, I haven't the slightest idea. However, I've invited several of the most picturesque speakers I encountered to help me in compiling my new article on slang. They will arrive at 10 tomorrow morning.
What about the nightclub, Potts?
Oh, it was there, Professor Robinson, that I found the person with the most bizarre vocabulary, Miss Sugarpuss O'Shea. She has an inexhaustible fund of slang.
Oh, was she blonde or brunette?
Oh, I couldn't say. I do remember, though, that she told me to shove in my clutch and scram.
Oh, dear. That sounds very unfriendly.
Oh, not at all, not at all. As a matter of fact, Sugarpuss was very friendly. Just as I was leaving her dressing room, she told me that I was one of the nicest jerks she had ever met.
What's a jerk?
Well, I'm not positive, but it apparently describes me.
It could be a slang expression meaning a professor.
Well, that is a distinct possibility, Audley.
Well, in that event, we are quite a group of jerks.
Indeed we are, Professor Audley. Indeed we are.
What was it like backstage, Potts? Did Sugarpuss wear tights?
Well, I didn't notice. As I've tried to explain to you, my trip to the nightclub was all in the interest of science.
Who in the world could be ringing our doorbell at this time of night?
It might be a special delivery letter.
Yes, or a telegram.
Well, open the door, Potts, and see what it is.
Hidey-ho, Professor. Hidey-ho.
Why, Miss Sugarpuss.
Greetings, Gate. Let's educate. Say, what's cooking?
Cooking? I don't smell anything. Audley, have you been preparing yourself a midnight snack?
Me? Oh, dear no.
Oh, let it go. Let it go. Who are the zombies?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Miss Sugarpuss O'Shea, these are my colleagues.
Hello, characters. Take 5.
Oh, Miss O'Shea, gentlemen never take money from women.
Forget it, forget it. Say, who decorated this joint? That mug that shot Lincoln?
Oh, this is our workroom.
This is solid murder. Let's start the joint jumping. Get on the beam, characters. Light the front burner. Come on, let's get to work.
What? Oh, but I wouldn't think of imposing on you at this time of night. We must wait until morning.
Well, you're pitching, Mr. Nothing by Nothing.
Why, I beg your pardon.
Well, zoot my suit and read my pleat and skip it.
Well, it was awfully nice of you to stop by, Miss Sugarpuss, and you made it. But now, if you'll permit me, I'd better bid you good night.
Okay, good night. Where do I sleep?
Where do you sleep? Well, where's your home?
Up on Riverside Drive, but I'm going to sleep here.
She could sleep in my room.
Professor Oddly.
And I could sleep with Professor Puffs. I always do when there's an electrical storm.
Oh, well, I don't want to throw anyone out of their bed. I'll sleep here in the library on the Davenport.
Well, that might be better.
Solid murder, Jackson. And now if you'll take your gang upstairs, I'll grab some shut-eye.
Well, certainly, Miss O'Shea. Come, gentlemen.
Good night, Miss Sugar.
If there's anything you need, just call us, Miss O'Shea.
Where's the telephone?
Near the door leading into the hall. Good night.
Good night. Good night. How did I ever get in this joint? Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Hello?
Hello, Asthma.
Yeah, Shuggy?
Yeah. I finally talked this bunch of characters into letting me stay here.
Good. Now stay there, for God's sake, till me and Pastrami picks you up. The DA grabbed Joe Lilac half hour ago.
I still can't believe that Joe Lilac's mixed up in a murder.
Well, you know how it is, Shuggy. The DA's been laying for Joe a long time. He framed him.
Yes, but why do I have to hide out?
Because they found a pair of them pajamas you bought, Joe, right near the victim's body.
Uh-oh.
You know, them with the big JL monogram?
Mm-hmm.
Well, once the cops get a hold of you, well, they can prove them pajamas belong to Joe. Right now, they just suspect it.
Well, don't forget where you parked me.
Shuggy, that's one thing you don't need to worry about.
Good. Listen, I better ring off now. I got to get up in the morning and spout slang for this professor. Good night.
Why, Miss O'Shea, I'm very grateful to you for your most illuminating dissertations. However, there is one word, the meaning of which still eludes me. That word is corny. What does that mean?
Well, kind of hick, loose tooth, you know, like the old professor.
Oh, do you mean Professor Oddly?
No, Professor K. Kaiser, you know, on the radio. Evening, folks. Hi-yo.
I'm afraid I never heard of him. Could you give me a more specific example of something corny?
When a guy comes to see a girl and says, let's turn off the light, it hurts my eyes, that's corn.
Oh, I see. The implication being that the fella was trying to pull some hoity-toity.
Boy, you're mellow as a cello, but you're catching on, Professor. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go and give the other professors a conga lesson.
Conga lesson? Now, Miss O'Shea, our understanding when you came here 3 days ago was that our relationship would be strictly scientific.
All right, scientists, keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever get out of this dump, I don't know.
Hey, Shuggy.
Who's that?
Me. Asthma.
Well, it's about time. I thought you had amnesia and forgot where you parked me. You said it was for one night.
Now, listen, babe, you're hot as a pistol. The DA's got 100 guys out looking for you.
Okay, you wait here. I'll get my things together in 2 seconds flat.
Now, wait a second. If you leave here, the cops will pick you up, and Joe will be on his way to the hot seat.
Well, then what are you doing here?
Well, I came here to talk for Joe.
Oh.
Shuggy, he wants to marry you.
Joe wants to marry me?
Yeah, him and the lawyer figured it out. You see, if you're married to Joe, you can't testify against him.
You mean it took the DA to make him pop the question?
Yeah. He sent you a very tender love message, though. He said to tell you he gets more laughs out of you than any dame he ever knew.
Well, that's Joe, all right. Never gets too sloppy.
Yeah. You know, the wedding's got to be a fast one, though, over in Jersey someplace. You'll get the final dope on where to meet us tomorrow morning. Joe will call you around 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Now, meantime, Shuggy, don't leave this house.
Send for me, Professor Potts?
Yes, Miss O'Shea. Circumstances over which neither of us has control forced me to ask you to leave.
Wait a minute. Did you say leave?
Immediately.
Oh, but you can't throw me out. Wait a minute. What about the slang? You don't know what this means. I'll get you on the Don Amici.
Don Amici? No.
A Don Amici is a telephone on account of because he invented it.
Oh, very interesting. And make no mistake, I shall regret the absence of your keen mind. Unfortunately, it's inseparable from an extremely disturbing body.
Well, of course, some people have said that little sugar is 112 pounds of quite all right.
That's just it. No one's allowed that much sugar.
All right, all right. I'll leave sometime tomorrow.
No, right away.
Oh, but I can't. That is, Potsy, look at me. Look, why do you think I came here in the first place?
To assist in the research.
No, I didn't. I came on account of you.
Me?
On account of I couldn't stop thinking about you, Potsy. After you left my dressing room, and on account of I thought you were clumsy and cute and pretty.
Pretty?
Maybe I'm crazy, but to me, you're a regular yum-yum type.
Yum-yum? We never got to that.
Well, we've got to it now, and now that you're throwing me out anyway, I can tell you that I'm wacky about you. I'm just plain wacky. Have you ever been with a whack before?
No, but I've been close to a couple of waves.
Come here. Come here to me, you great big academic Casanova.
Please, Miss O'Shea. What are you going to do?
I'm going to show you what yum-yum is. Bend down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's yum. And here's another yum. And here's yum-yum. Well, what do you think of that? Well, what do you know? Lucky Strike Green has gone to war.
And so the curtain falls on Act One of Ball of Fire, starring Kay Kaiser, Paulette Goddard, and Richard Haydn. During our intermission, the spotlight moves to Lady Esther, who incidentally has a word for you about spotlights.
Do you remember Eva Tangway, the actress, who became famous a few years ago singing a song called I Don't Care, I Don't Care? Well, there was one thing Eva Tangway did care about very much, especially later in her career. She was fussy about the spotlight that was thrown on her face. It had to be soft and subdued so that it wouldn't show up the lines in her skin, would not betray to her audience that she was getting older. Yes, Eva Tangway, like all great actresses, knew the importance of lighting on her face, knew the great difference it could make in her appearance. And you know, certain shades of face powder, like certain colored spotlights, can make a woman look older, too. Any makeup artist will tell you that some shades of powder can put years on your face. And he'll tell you that other shades can do just the opposite, can make your skin look much fresher, can make your skin look younger. Now, the shades of Lady Esther face powder are unusually flattering because of the way my powder is made. You see, the color is blown into my powder, blown in by hurricanes instead of being just mixed in. That makes the shades richer and more beautiful than ordinary powder shades. I wish I could tell you the best shade of Lady Esther face powder for your skin and your coloring, but I can't do that. The only way is to try the 9 different shades right on your own skin, before your own mirror, and see for yourself just which shade is the most flattering. Obviously, you can't buy 9 boxes of powder, so here's what I'll do. Send me your name and address on a penny postcard, and I'll send you by return mail 9 different shades of Lady Esther face powder and a generous tube of Lady Esther four-purpose face cream. There's no cost. It's just my way of helping you find your lucky shade. But be sure you write to me tonight. All the address you need is Lady Esther, Chicago. I'm sorry, but Canadian wartime restrictions don't permit me to make this offer to residents of Canada.
When Sugarpuss gave Professor Potts that last yum, Potsy went off his nut. He went out and bought an engagement ring and asked Sugarpuss to marry him. And he did it with such sincerity that Sugar Puss didn't have the heart to say no or tell him that she was due to marry a murdering gangster named Joe Lilac. As a matter of fact, Sugar Puss began to realize that Potsy had his points, despite his low blood pressure. As the curtain rises on the second act of Ball of Fire, starring Paulette Goddard as Sugar Puss O'Shea, Kay Kaiser as Professor Bertram Potts, and Richard Hayden as Professor Audley, it's the next morning, and Sugar Puss is waiting for a phone call from the gangster, Joe Lilac.
Now, why does everything have to happen to me? I worked for 10 years trying to make something of myself, finally get Joe Lilac to pop the question, and then, like a moron, I have to fall in love with an English professor who makes $3,200 a year. Oh, go ahead and ring. If you hadn't made me come here in the first place, I wouldn't be in this mess. So keep your receiver on. I'm coming. Hello.
Hello, Shuggy. It's Joe.
I know.
Why, Shuggy, what's the matter? Ain't you glad you're getting a chance to marry me?
I don't know whether I am or not.
What? Say, you ain't falling for any of them professors, are you?
What if I am?
It wouldn't be good, Shuggy, for you or the professors. You know, I gotta get married to you, so the DA can't make you testify against me.
Oh, I see. Say, you're really quite a guy, Joe.
Well, I think ahead. Now, listen, some way you gotta talk them professors into driving you over to Jersey. That's where I am.
Why can't I take a bus?
Because the cops are watching for you. Make them long hairs drive you down here.
If I don't?
If you don't, me or some of the boys will make certain you ain't in any condition to testify against me ever. You get it?
Yes, I get it.
Good. I don't take too long, or I'll send some of the boys over to mess the professors up a little. Sort of encourage them.
Leave the professors out of this. They haven't hurt you.
And not only haven't, they couldn't. Now get going, you hear me?
I heard you, Joe. I heard you.
As the only one of your associates who has been married, Pops, I know whereof I speak. If you feel the need of any guidance, may I suggest that you turn to me.
Well, thank you, Professor Audley.
Genevieve, my wife, has been dead for some 24 years. But I have relived every moment of our happiness many times. My experience is entirely at your disposal, Potts, now that you are engaged to Miss Sugar Puss.
Well, really, Audley, I don't know how
I judge that I do not have to start with basic principles. Being a botanist, I find an astonishing parallel between a woman's heart and the windflower, or anemone nemorosa. Perhaps you know the plant. Sensitive and delicate, one rough, impetuous bee can completely destroy the bloom.
Well, I'm much obliged,
Tenderness, that is what I advocate. Tenderness and patience. Genevieve, my wife, was a watercolorist. Therefore, after the wedding reception, we went straight to the Catskills. We spent there a beautiful week, filled with promise, and returned to New York with 14 excellent watercolors.
Well, I certainly I appreciate your interest, Audley.
Please, I beg of you, be patient. I remember for 3 months, every time I bade her good night, I would kiss the palm of her little hand, astonished at my own boldness.
Well, just a moment, Audley. I recognize the beauty and delicacy of the relationship you described, but I'm afraid I'm a lot bolder than you are.
Yes?
I'm a man in love. I want to crush her in my arms.
Oh, my goodness.
I think of Sugar Puss every waking moment. Well, if our marriage had been postponed, were to be... Now, listen to that, Audley. I don't know my tenses anymore. I'm going goofy, slap-happy. I can't keep my mind on the anemone...
Anemorosa?
Thank you. Or rough, impetuous bees either. I couldn't even wait for 14 excellent watercolors. Now, what do you think of that?
I think it's wonderful, Potsy. Just wonderful.
You think... What? Did you hear me talking to Audley?
Every word of it, Potsy. I couldn't help it.
Oh, you'll have to forgive me.
Oh, don't apologize, Potsy. It was illuminating. Come here, you great big yum-yum.
Oh, dear me.
What are you worrying about? It's my blood pressure.
Enjoy yourself, Potsy. That's a goodbye kiss.
Goodbye? Well, where are you going?
Over to Jersey to see a dog about a man.
Of course, if you don't want to Tell me.
Well, I don't.
Then you mean that you and I are not going to be married?
I'm afraid not, Potsy.
And you don't feel that you owe me an explanation?
Sure I do, but I'm not going to give you one. Goodbye, Potsy.
I could kill you for coming over here alone, Shuggy.
Sure you could. Why don't you? After all, you're Joe Lilac.
I told you to have that bunch of professors drive you here.
That's right, but I was too smart for you on that deal, Joe. I wasn't going to deliver those cherubs into your dirty hands.
Okay, Weisenheimer. I'll take care of you after we're married. Begin a justice of the peace, Pastrami.
Okay, boss.
You're rushing things a little, Joe.
Huh?
Listen, I've changed my mind, Joe. I'm not going to marry you. You were right. I do love one of the professors, and I'm going to marry him or nobody.
Well, isn't that sweet? You love one of the professors.
Yes, I love him. He looks like a giraffe, and I love him. I love him. I just love him because he's the kind that gets drunk on a glass of milk. I love the way he blushes and the way he doesn't know how to kiss, the big goof. You see, I love him, Joe. I may never see him again, but I'm not going to marry you. Not if you tie a ton of cement around my neck and throw me into the East River like you did the others.
Oh, then I guess maybe you better talk to your professor.
I told you before, leave him out of this.
Just imagine him on the bottom of the East River. You wouldn't like that to happen to him, would you, Sugarfoot?
It ain't funny, McGee.
Who said it's funny? I mean business. And as if you don't say I do, like a nice little bride.
You can't do that, Joe.
Too late, Shuggy. Some of the boys have already gone to pick up your professor.
What are you trying to do, put the screws on me?
You said it. Right where it hurts the most. Right in the neighborhood of the heart.
Well, I don't believe you, Joe. You wouldn't dare fool around with anyone who wasn't connected with some kind of a racket.
Maybe talking to the boys on the phone will convince you.
What do you mean?
Just phone the professor's house. Asma will tell you about it.
I think you're bluffing.
There's the phone. Find out for yourself.
Hello?
Who's that?
Me. Asthma.
Asma, what are you doing at the professor's?
Oh, a couple of us just dropped in on the boys with our typewriters.
What are you going to do?
Well, that's up to the boss, Shuggy. We're just waiting for orders.
Can we make a deal now, Shuggy?
Sure we can, Brother Rat. Bring on your justice of the peace.
Get away from me! Get away!
What was that?
Nothing, Joe. Everything's all right now.
Now, Mr. Asma, this is your last chance. If you don't tell us where Miss Sugarpuss is being held, we'll be forced to torture you.
Be forced to... Go ahead. I've been given the 3rd degree by experts.
Yes, but you haven't been tortured by anyone as expert as Professor Robinson. He's not only an international authority on the subject, he's on the rationing board.
He's practically a fiend.
Is that so? Well, you can't scare me.
Very well, then, Professor Robinson, proceed.
Well, it's really very simple. One places this feather between the 12th and 13th vertebrae and whirls it rapidly.
Cut it out! You're tickling me! Hey, stop it! Stop. What are you trying to do? What are you killing me? Stop it! I'll tell you anything. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Are you sure this is the place, Asma?
Yes, this is it, Potts. You can see Miss Sugarpuss. She's standing with another man in front of somebody who's performing a ceremony. I can hear what they're saying.
Now repeat after me. I, Joseph Lilac.
Aye, Joseph Lilac.
Head of Murder Incorporated.
Take thee, Catherine O'Shea.
What about me, Catherine O'Shea?
You cracked. You want that professor of yours stuck in East River?
No.
Well, then get with it. I want the ceremony finished.
I don't.
What's that?
Sounds like the cops are beating down the door.
Cops, if they followed you here, I'll...
Oh, you're what, Mr. Lilac?
Who are you?
He's my guy, Potsy!
Mr. Lilac, this is what is known as an upstick.
Stick up, Potsy.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so what happens now?
I'm about to deliver to you, Mr. Lilac, the beating of your life.
You're going to give me a beating?
Exactly. However, I feel I must warn you that for the past hour I have been studying a book on how to become a commando.
Well, ain't that wonderful?
Well, in fairness to you, I feel that I must offer you an opportunity to read the book, too. I don't want to take an unsportsmanlike advantage.
Well, now that's mighty white of you, Professor. Let me see the book.
Why, certainly. Oh,
Oh, why, you rat. You hit him while he was trying to play fair.
You dope.
Oh, you took an unfair advantage of me, Mr. Lilac. Now I'm forced to use those punches I've been reading about.
Okay, Putsy, but I warn you.
This will only lead to bloodshed.
Okay, Lilac, here I come, ready or not. Here I come. Oh, yes, sir. This is known as a 1-2, Mr. Lilac. Oh, boy. And this is an uppercut. See page 23. Oh!
Are you all right, Mr. Buck?
Did you conquer the bounder, Pop?
Did he conquer him? There he is on the floor, boys. Wrap him up and take him away.
Yes, secure his hands and feet, gentlemen. Mr. Lilac is not an honorable man.
Understatement just hit a new low.
We arrived in time to interrupt the ceremony, did we not?
You not only interrupted it, you disintegrated it, if I know what I mean. It calls for a celebration.
Primitive peoples customarily dance to celebrate victories.
That's an excellent idea. Miss Sugarpuss, would you lead us in that conga you were teaching us?
Oh, I'd love to, Professor Audley, but if I remember correctly, Potsy threw me out of the house for teaching you that conga.
Oh, but he wouldn't now, I'm sure. He might even join us.
Would you, Potsy?
Would I? Come on, children. Yes, dance.
Let's dance.
Thank you, Kay Kaiser, Paulette Goddard, and Richard Hayden for your swell performances in our version of Ball of Fire, adapted for radio by Bill Hampton. You were all splendid.
Thanks. Well, we all enjoyed it, Mr. Bradley, and we all look forward to our appearances with the Lady Esther Screen Guild players, for we know that all the benefits go to the support of the Motion Picture Relief Fund, which is very close to our hearts. In a moment, Kay Kaiser will tell you about the year's outstanding radio motion picture event, which will be brought to you next week on this program. But first, here is a word from one of our best-known beauty authorities, Lady Esther.
Thank you, Miss Goddard. I'd like to remind you of the offer I made a little while ago to help you find your most flattering shade of face powder. If you will send me your name and address on the back of a penny postcard, you will receive free all the 9 exciting new shades of Lady Esther face powder. And with the 9 shades of powder, I'll send you a generous tube of Lady Esther four-purpose face cream so that you can clean your skin thoroughly before trying each shade and so get the full value of its beauty. You know, one of those 9 Lady Esther shades will be especially flattering to your skin. One of those shades will make your skin look unusually clear, fresh, and luminous. Well, that's the shade for you. That's your lucky shade. So don't delay until all the gift packages are gone. Write me tonight or first thing tomorrow morning for the 9 different shades of Lady Esther face powder and a tube of Lady Esther four-purpose face cream. Remember that all the address you need is Lady Esther, Chicago.
And now, Kay Kaiser.
About this time each season, the editors of Red Book magazine select the outstanding motion picture of the year. Next week, the Lady Esther Screen Guild players proudly present this year's winning picture, and also the presentation of the Red Book Award. You will hear Greer Garson, Walter Pidgeon, Dame Mae Whitty, Henry Wilcoxon, and Freddie Bartholomew in that great, heartwarming story, Mrs. Miniver.
This program was arranged and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Next week, then, the Red Book Award winner, Mrs. Miniver, with Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon. The Screen Guild players are presented by Lady Esther. This is Truman Bradley saying good night and thank you.
Columbia Broadcasting System.
Esther presents the Screen Guild Players. The Screen Guild play tonight, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the starling players.
This is Joan Bennett.
This is Robert Young.
And this is Ralph Bellamy.
Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild players in a rib-tickling farce about a marital mishap, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Our stars are lovely Joan Bennett, who plays Mrs. Smith, Robert Young as Mr. Smith, and Ralph Bellamy as Jefferson Custer III. On September the 10th, 1939, David Smith married Ann Krausheimer. On September the 11th, they had a quarrel. But on the morning of September the 12th, they made up. David said it was his fault. Ann said it was her fault. On September the 13th, they had a quarrel. But on the morning of September the 14th, they made up. David said it was his fault. Ann said it was her fault. Yesterday was December the 13th, 1942. And they had a quarrel. We joined them on the morning of December the 14th.
It was all my fault, Ann.
No, David, darling, it was my fault.
You were dead right about my brother. He is a bum.
Of course he is, but I shouldn't pick on your relatives. It isn't sporting.
Well, I called your Aunt Edith an old tomato.
But she is an old tomato.
Well, just the same, I didn't have to prove it. I guess I lost my head when you threw the sugar bowl at me.
No, I shouldn't have done that, David. My heart leapt up in my throat and sort of hung there the minute I saw it flying through the air.
Nothing to be frightened about. I ducked in plenty of time.
Well, that's what frightened me. It really was a cowardly thing to do, David. You knew very well you were standing right in front of the potted palm that Mother gave us for Christmas. I know you never liked my mother.
Now, let's not bring your mother into this.
This is a free country. My mother has a perfect right to come into the conversation.
Not into my conversation.
It's my conversation, too.
Oh, yeah? Well, let me tell you something.
Tell me nothing. I'll tell you something.
Well, and so the Smiths had another quarrel. Somehow or other, David got into his new tweed topcoat, on which Ann thought she saw some dark hairs, and got out of the house at last. We pick him up as he arrives in his office and is confronted by his partner, Jefferson Custer III, which was just too many.
All right, Jeff, so it's 11 o'clock. I burned my candles at both ends. I don't believe in the Easter Bunny. I'm forever blowing bubbles. I'm a mess. Now, please get that suffering expression off your face.
That's quite unfair, David. I only suggested that the members of a legal firm should have a little more regard for routine.
I'd be glad to, but I can't let business interfere with the fights I have at home.
It's a pity you can't be less aggressive in your relationship with Ann.
Oh, naturally, I'm to blame.
I didn't say that, but it does seem odd that you have so many quarrels. Ann is such a gentle person.
Gentle? She's the only dreamboat I ever saw with 16-inch guns. What's on the docket for today? Any new cases?
Well, a Mr. Deaver wants to see you. He's been waiting an hour.
Deaver? Never heard of him. Bring him in.
He says it's a private matter. I won't stay.
Of course you'll stay. You know I never talk to a client unless you're around. Bring him in.
Very well. Mr. Smith will see you now, Mr. Deaver. I appreciate the compliment you paid me, David.
Compliment? I just meant that you're great atmosphere. Other law offices have marble statues of Alexander Hamilton. We have you.
Oh. Oh.
Mr. Smith, I am Wiana Deaver.
Well, have a chair, Mr. Deaver. What's on your mind?
Are you Mr. David Smith?
That's right.
Are you the Mr. David Smith who married Miss Ann Krausheimer in Beecham, Idaho?
I am.
In that case, Mr. Smith, I have a surprise for you.
Oh, goody.
Beecham is not in Idaho, but Nevada. They just found out by a new survey.
You don't say.
Yup. So you and Miss Krausheimer are not legally married.
Well, that could happen to... What? Say that again.
You're not really married, Mr. Smith. Isn't that reprehensible?
Oh, David, that's terrible. I see no reason for amusement, David. This is quite a serious matter.
Serious? It's hilarious. For 3 years, get this, for 3 years I've been pounding on the bathroom door and saying, hurry up and get out of that tub. And who was in the tub? Miss Krausheimer.
Hello?
Hello, Ann.
Now, David, if you've just called me up to start another argument.
Argument, darling. Nothing was further from my mind. Look, I've got a great idea. Let's call off that bridge date tonight and just stay home and be romantic.
David, are you feeling all right?
I never felt better in my whole life.
I just happen to feel romantic, that's all. Now, let's have an intimate little dinner, and you can wear that black lacy thing.
Just a minute, David. Who is it?
Your dear mother, darling.
Oh, well, sit down. I'll be right there. It was Mother, David.
The old pest.
What?
I said give her my best. And, get rid of her before I come home.
Get rid of her?
Well, I mean, we don't want anyone around tonight, darling. Let's have candles on the table and put on some of that perfume I like. You know, the kind that makes my nostrils twitch?
Why, David, what on earth come over you?
You just wait and see. Will you be ready?
Oh, yes, darling. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sweet.
Anne, dear,
Hello, Mother. I suppose you dropped in for lunch.
My poor little girl.
There's nothing wrong with me. What are you talking about?
You're not married.
You're crazy.
Oh, no, I'm not. I met Leonardo Stever from Beecham this morning, and he explained that Beecham is really in Nevada, and you had an Idaho license.
Is that bad?
It means you're not legally married. Oh, my poor baby. To think that such a disgrace should come to the Krausheimers.
Oh, calm down, Mother. All David has to do is marry me again, and as soon as I tell him...
But he knows by now. Mr. Deaver was going to see him this morning.
Oh, of course he knows. I see the whole thing now.
Did he mention it when he was talking to you on the phone?
No, but he will. He wants to be romantic about it. We're having dinner at home tonight with candles, and he'll propose all over again.
My poor child, I hope you're right. I've never trusted David Smith. Now, you listen to me, Anne. If he doesn't propose
Well, don't be ridiculous, Mother. Of course he'll propose. I won't say yes right away, of course. I'll make him coax me like I did the first time. But don't you worry, Mother. As soon as dinner is over, David and I will make you an honest mother-in-law.
Now, that was my idea of a really swell dinner.
It was, darling?
Definitely. You buy the best canned spaghetti I ever tasted. How about some more champagne?
No, thanks. I'm all bubbly now.
Anne, there's something I'd like to say to you.
Yes, David?
Come here.
Now, what do you want to tell me?
Anne,
Yes?
gee, you smell good.
Oh. David, I was thinking today, how would you like to go to Beecham on our next vacation?
Now, don't change the subject. There's something about you tonight that goes right to my nose.
Oh.
Seductive, that's what that perfume is. When I first met you in Beecham, you smelled of hay and Castile soap.
Did I tell you that Mother was here today? We had quite a chat.
I'll bet you did. And that reminds me.
Yes, David?
And there's something I want to ask you.
Yes, David?
How come a girl with a mother like yours can smell so nice?
I believe I will take some more champagne.
That's the spirit. But why don't we take the bottle and a couple of glasses and go in the other room?
The, other room?
Sure. Let's go in and get comfortable and maybe turn the little radio on nice and low.
David, I want to tell you something.
But none of that swing stuff. Tonight I want Guy Lombardo. Come on.
David Smith, you'd better listen to me right now.
Must be pretty important.
It certainly is. I know all about the Idaho wedding license.
Oh. Oh, that?
Yes, that. Mother heard it from Mr. Deaver.
Well, looks like I'm out on a double play. Deaver to Mother to you.
You knew all the time and you weren't going to tell me.
Oh, you're wrong, sweetheart. I was going to tell you later.
How much later?
Well...
Oh, I should have known it.
Oh, now take it easy, honey.
You were just going to lead me on, and when you got tired of me, you were going to cast me aside like a worn-out orange.
The word is glove. I didn't mean any harm, honey. We'll go down to City Hall and get married again first thing in the morning.
And where do you think you're going to spend the night?
Well, here, of course.
Oh, no, you're not. You Guy Lombardo listener.
Oh, but darling, you...
Get out.
Oh, you're just upset, baby. After all, a man's wife can't...
No, I'm not your wife. I'm Miss Ann Krautheimer, and you don't live here anymore.
Oh, sweetheart, you don't mean it. She means it. Good morning, Miss Lanning.
Good morning, Mr. Smith. Mr. Custer is waiting for you in your office.
Thanks. Hello.
Sit down, David. There's something I want to say to you. Briefly, it's...
Really? What else is new?
Pardon me, I believe I'm getting a cold this beastly weather.
Now, you should have your galoshes retreaded. But, you had something to say to me?
Yes, I just spoke to Ann on the telephone.
Oh?
I asked her to come down here to talk this thing over quietly and sanely. You're much too fine, both of you, to have this happen.
My gosh, Jeff, it's awfully decent of you to...
I'm going to take matters into my own hands, David. After all, you and Ann, you mean a good deal to me.
Why, Jeff, Shake hands with me, Jeff.
Glad to, old man.
Jeff, you're the best friend a man ever had.
We're partners, old man.
You're the best law partner a man ever had.
We were school chums, old man.
And you were the best fullback Michigan ever had.
Oh, come now, old man.
I always said Harmon was a greater back, but I was wrong, Jeff. Harmon couldn't touch you.
Thanks, old man.
Mrs. Smith is here.
Send her in, old man. Send her in.
This way, Mrs. Smith.
Hello, Jeff.
Oh, I'm glad to see you, Ann.
Talk to my lawyer.
Your lawyer? What lawyer?
Ann has asked me to represent her in this matter, David.
What? Ann doesn't need a lawyer.
You're right, David. She doesn't. Because according to the facts, you two aren't married at all.
Why, you sniveling shyster. You call yourself a lawyer? Someday an ambulance is going to back up and knock all your teeth out.
Now, let's not lose our tempers. We must face facts. You two simply are not married and never have been. I admit a certain relationship has existed between you.
Let us not go into that.
And the law states clearly that should the woman care to halt this relationship and marry someone else, she has a legal right to do so.
Really? Are you sure, Jeff?
Absolutely. Peterson versus Peterson, Jones versus Jones, Brown versus Brown, the state of Pennsylvania versus Horowitz.
My. Horowitz sounds like a bigamist.
You're supposed to be a friend of mine, Custer, and you tell her about Horowitz?
I have never taken advantage of our friendship, David. And it's only because you're standing here that I am able to say to Ann, decently and honestly, Ann, would you care to have dinner with me tomorrow night?
Why, of course, Jeff. Where?
Ann, I warn you, if you have dinner with him tomorrow night, we're through.
Good. What time, Jeff?
We're through, Ann. From now on, we're just friends.
The Stork Club all right, Jeff?
Anywhere you say.
Very well. Goodbye, Ann. And as for you, Custer...
Yes, David?
You couldn't carry Harmon's water bucket.
And so the curtain falls on the first act of the Lady Esther Screen Guild Players presentation, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Robert Young, Joan Bennett, and Ralph Bellamy. Before we present Act Two, I'd like you to hear a word from our hostess, Lady Esther.
You know how you felt on a holiday, gay and happy and ready for all the good things the day might bring? Remember how you've said, today's a special day, a wonderful day. Exciting, wasn't it? Sort of like the time you wore your first party dress or had your first important date. You know, every day can begin like that for you. Every day can seem like a holiday. If when you look in your mirror, you're able to say, my, I look nice this morning. My skin looks so smooth and fresh. Now, I don't know of any one thing that will make you a ravishing beauty overnight. But I do know that if you use Lady Esther face cream faithfully twice a day, it will help you have a fresher, lovelier skin that will make your heart sing for joy when you look in your mirror. You see, Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream, this one cream by itself, takes care of the four most essential needs of your skin. It not only thoroughly cleans your skin, but it also softens your skin. It helps nature refine the pores. And finally, it leaves a smooth, flattering base for powder. I just wish you could read some of the letters I get from women who once used a lot of different kinds of preparations for their skin, but who now use just Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream. So many of them say their skin never looked softer and smoother, never looked lovelier. Why don't you change to Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream? Then, when you look in your mirror and see how fresh, how much more attractive your skin looks, well, every day may seem like a happy holiday to you.
And now for the second act of the RKO comedy, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Joan Bennett as Anne, Robert Young as David, and Ralph Bellamy as Jeff. Well, 2 weeks have passed, and Ann's date with Jeff has turned into a series of dates. David is frantic because he has heard that Ann intends to marry Jeff. And Ann is frantic because David is frantically chasing her all over town, which is a pretty frantic situation. We find Ann frantically knocking on Jeff's door.
Ann, what are you doing here?
It was either your apartment or the park, Jeff. David has taken over my home.
Well, come in. You poor girl.
Oh, you're so understanding. How's the cold?
Oh, fine. I think it's nearly gone.
Well, think again.
I'm so glad you decided to come to me with your troubles. You know you could always count on me. Always.
Oh, thanks, Jeff, and gesundheit a million. I mean, well, you know what I mean.
Of course.
Say, young man, what you need is a little medical attention. Where's your bar, your liquor cabinet?
I feel fine, Ann.
No, you sit right down. I'll have you fixed up in a jiffy. Ah, here we are.
Ann, that's whiskey.
Of course. David always takes this for a cold, or anything else.
Is that all for me?
2 big swallows now, and there'll just be 1 less pneumonia case tomorrow.
But I don't drink liquor. I just keep that here for friends.
You mean you never drink?
I haven't anything against other people drinking it, mind you, but I just never seem to have got round to breaking training from my football days, you know. I eat 4 different vegetables a day.
But this isn't just alcohol, Jeff. It's medicine.
Well, if you think I ought to take
Yes,
it...
I do. 1 big gulp now.
All right. There we are.
My goodness. Didn't you feel it? Didn't it burn or anything?
No, I've tried this before. As an experiment, of course. Taking a drink simply does not affect me. My metabolism, I guess.
I've never seen anyone hold it like that. I don't think 1 is going to do you any good.
Now, Ann.
It's all medicine. Kills the germs. Drink it up now.
Your health.
What a constitution.
You know, I believe my cold's gone.
I never saw anyone in my life who could swallow whiskey like that.
Oh, I imagine it's common among cases of high metabolism.
High what?
Metabolism.
Oh.
Goodness, it's chilly. If you don't mind, I'll fight a liar in the plier face.
Maybe that second one was too much.
Nonsense, my dear. Miss Ann, may I pardon you begging for a moment?
Certainly.
I find a cold shower bound to counter alcohol. If you'll...
Jeff, speak to me. Jeff, wake up. Oh, dear. Jeff. Coming.
Is this Mr. Jefferson Custer III's apartment?
Yes, that's he on the floor. Won't you come in?
May I ask just what is going on here?
Too much metabolism, I guess. Here, help me get his clothes off.
Very well, I beg your pardon.
Now, don't be stuffy. This is an emergency. Say, who are you, anyway?
I am his mother.
His mother? Oh, please, Mrs. Custer, let me explain.
As a matter of fact, I insist that you do.
Well, I'm a friend of his, and, well...
Oh,
look, I think he's coming, too.
Oh!
Jeff, are you all right, Jeff?
Yes, I think so. Oh, my... Mother, where did you come from?
From Newport, and rather opportunely, it seems. Jefferson, who is this woman?
She's, now, wait a minute. Don't get the wrong impression, Mother. Ann's a very dear, sweet girl, and none of this is her fault at all. She was only trying to help.
Oh, indeed.
Miss Krausheimer happens to be a very good friend of mine. More than a friend, I might add.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As a matter of fact, Ann and I are going to be married.
Married? Oh, that's different, my dear. I am sorry for what I've said. I know that if my son wants you for his wife, you are everything you should be.
Thank you.
My, this is our busy night, isn't it? Would you answer the door, Ann?
Of course.
So I thought you'd be here.
David, don't you dare make a scene because Jeff's mother is here. Now, please, David.
Who is it, Ann? Oh, hello, David. Mother, come here. This is my partner, David Smith.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Smith?
How do you do?
Jeff's written me so much about you. Oh, I presume you know Miss Krausheimer?
Oh, we met some time ago.
I've just heard the news, Mr. Smith. Isn't it thrilling? Oh, but I suppose it's an old story to you.
Older than you think, Mrs. Coster. Hey, Krause?
Where are you going on your honeymoon, Jeff? Bermuda?
Oh, I wouldn't advise it. Anne's a bad sailor. Say, Krause, remember the trip we took on the Albany night boat?
The Albany night boat?
If you do take a boat trip, Jeff, you'll have to put her to bed and hold a hot water bottle on her stomach. I know, brother. Why, all night long I stand there with a...
Oh, he considers himself a medical authority, Mrs. Custer.
Oh. Really?
David, don't you think you ought to be leaving?
Oh, sure. I just dropped in to ask Krause if my shorts were back in the laundry yet.
Your shorts?
Krause, Anne sort of took care of his things around the house.
Little household things.
Mm-hmm. Best little housekeeper you ever saw. Jeff's a lucky man, Mrs. Custer. I wish he was going to marry me.
You do, Mr. Smith?
You bet. Krause is quite a girl, Mrs. Custer. Believe me, I ought to know. I've been sitting across the breakfast table from her for 3 solid years.
Oh, Jefferson, it's time I was running along. I'd like to see you later, if you don't mind. In private. Goodbye.
David Smith, I hate you.
That was downright mean, David. However, it'll do you no good. I intend to marry Anne before this month is out.
Before this week is out.
What's the matter with tonight? Right now.
By gad, that's a good idea.
It certainly is. We'll be married tonight. Oh, you mean tonight?
Sure. Jeff and I know a justice of the peace who lives in this neighborhood. He can be over here in 5 minutes with a special license.
But this is so sudden.
Yes, but it'll settle things once and for all. I'll go inside and phone him. In 5 minutes, we'll be man and wife.
Mm-hmm. Well, Anne, I hear you're getting married. Congratulations. Would you like to borrow my copy of What Every Girl Should Know?
You engineered this, you sneak, marrying me off to that man.
I thought you loved it.
I do love him. I love him madly. But how do I know whether I want to marry him?
Well, I won't let you do to good old Jeff what you've done to me. His reputation must be protected.
You are
I know. It rhymes with mouse.
Well, it's all settled. Justice will be over here in a couple of minutes with a special license.
Fine. And to show there's no hard feelings, I'll be the best man. Well, let's have a little drink to your happiness.
You know I never drink.
Oh, come now. Man only gets married now and then.
Jeff doesn't drink, David. Liquor does things to him.
Why, Anne, you know drinking doesn't affect me. Oh, if you're referring to what happened before, well, it must have been something I ate.
Sure, that's all it was. Why, Jeff can handle any amount of the stuff. It's the food that throws him every time.
Absolutely.
Remember the night after we won the Barrington case, Jeff? We thought we ought to celebrate, so we sent out for a salami sandwich and 5 bottles of vodka.
What happened?
Poor old Jeff passed out cold. Salami went right to his head.
You know, I haven't touched a salami sandwich since.
Oh, but this is nothing but a harmless bottle of whiskey. Come on, have a drink.
Better not, Jeff.
Nonsense. It couldn't possibly hurt me.
That's right. We men know what we're doing. Pour a shot for all of us, Jeff, old man.
You bet, old man. One for you. And one for you. And one for me.
Is this your idea of a shot, Jeff?
Certainly.
Looks more like a barrage.
Well, my friends, here's to a long...
Oh, pardon me, I'll answer it. It's probably Justice Carn.
Well, Anne, in a few minutes you'll be Mrs. Jefferson Custer III, which is quite a bunch of Custers.
Yes, I guess I will.
Great old name, Custer, but not what it used to be. The best you can say for Jeff is that he might die with his spats on. How do you feel?
Me? Oh, I feel wonderful. I've never been happier.
You don't sound very happy.
David, I'm scared.
Well, there's nothing to be scared about.
I mean, I'm not sure.
Well, here's Justice Carnes. You know Mr. Smith, of course, Justice. This is the bride, Miss Anne Krausheimer.
Delighted. Ah, having a drink, I see.
Yes. Won't you?
Delighted.
All right. Say when. That's all there is.
When?
Well, here's to a long and happy marriage. Down the hatch, everybody.
Excellent. Now let's proceed with the ceremony. Will the bride step forward? And the groom. Did somebody push him?
Oh, I knew it. He's down again.
Hey, that was strong whiskey. I don't feel it myself, but I can see how others might. Pardon me.
Poor Jeff. We'll never revive him now.
I gather that the wedding is off.
Yes, I guess it is. Poor little girl. There she stands, Justice Carnes.
Who's those two girls with her?
Those are the bridesmaids. She's the one in the middle. Doesn't your heart ache for her, Justice?
It even burns.
Look at her. No rings on her fingers and a drunken sot at her toes. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sacrifice myself to revive her faith in men. I'm going to marry her myself.
Very well. Do you, David Smith, take this woman to be your lawful wedded husband, a wife?
I certainly do.
This whole thing is a plot. You made Jeff take that drink because you knew what would happen.
Sure, and so did you. But did you try to stop him?
Well.
Proceed with the ceremony.
Do you and Chris,
Krausheimer.
Oh, you said it. Do you and what he said take this man to be your lawful wedded wife?
She does.
I do not.
She does.
Make up your minds. Do she or don't she?
Oh, Walt. I do, but...
That's enough, that's enough. Then by authority of my virtuous man and wife, I now pronounce you justice of this county.
Thank you, Joan Bennett, Robert Young, and Ralph Bellamy. I don't know when we've had more fun rehearsing and presenting a Lady Esther Screen Guild Players program.
We enjoyed it too, Mr. Bradley, for several reasons. Not the least of which is the fact that all the benefits from these programs go to the support of a charity which is very close to our hearts, the Motion Picture Relief Fund. Bob Young has something to say, too. But first, may I ask you to listen to a word from one of our best-known beauty authorities, Lady Esther.
Thank you, Miss Bennett. Suppose there was a face cream with such rich cleansing power that it gave your skin a cleaner, fresher look the very first time you use it. And suppose that same cream softened your skin, seemed to smooth away dryness and flaking. Now suppose at the same time that cream made your skin look fresher and lovelier by helping nature refine the pores. And as though that weren't enough, suppose after you used this cream, it left a wonderfully smooth, flattering base on your skin. A perfect base for powder and makeup. Well, you'd think it was a miracle cream, wouldn't you? And yet there is just such a cream. Yes, the cream I've just been describing to you is Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream. And it does all these 4 important things for your skin every time you use it. That's why you can expect such unusual results from Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream. Today, millions of busy, lovely women use just this one cream for the complete care of their skin. And I just wish you could see the letters many of them write me. They say their skin never looked smoother, never looked fresher. Why don't you give up all those jars and bottles you may have thought you needed and change to just this one cream, Lady Esther Four-Purpose Face Cream?
And now, here is Robert Young.
I have a message for you from our government. Our government and the railroads and bus lines of this country are specifically requesting civilians to avoid railway and bus travel between December 15th and January 5th. Please stay home between December 15th and January 5th and let a serviceman or his mother have your train or bus seat. And now here's Ralph Bellamy to tell you about next week's show.
Next week, our Lady Esther Screen Guild Players will bring you a program which has become a Christmas tradition in this theater. John Nesbitt's splendid radio adaptation of Oscar Wilde's story, The Juggler of Our Lady. Traditionally, too, Ronald Coleman will tell the story, and Nelson Eddy will bring to life the loveliest of all Christmas music. Thank you and good night.
Next week, then, Nelson Eddy and Ronald Coleman will bring you The Juggler and Our Lady. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.